All right. So as usual, let's start with our prayer. So let's relax, close our eyes, elevate our thoughts, and think about good things, all God's creations, and put our thoughts in peace and our thoughts in quiet mode. Dear Jesus, may our study today and always be filled with peace, prosperity, and love. May your blessings shower upon the whole world and grant upon each of us a bright, healthy, charitable, and peaceful days to come. Master Jesus, please make our journey a happy one, not by shielding us from sorrow and pain, but by strengthening us to bear it if it comes. Shine your light in us, through us, over us. Protect us, this group, this study, from any undesirable influence. We ask for your guide and protection for our lives and the life of our families and friends and those of the ones who are in need, who are in pain and suffering now. Set your way before us, Jesus. May we make a difference in this world for your glory and purposes. And so be it. And okay, so the news today I do not know if you mentioned this before, but there will be a sequence of the movie Astro City. It's called The Messenger. It's called actually The Nosso Lar, #2, Os Mensageiros in Portuguese, but translation in English is really Astro City, #2, The Messenger. So it's going to be released in 2023. Right now, they are in preparation of that movie. So the cast is already formed. So lots of plans, lots of excitement about it. And they say is the sequence, but in reality is another story, but with the same characters from the Nosso Lar, from the first movie that was released back in 2010. But now The Messenger is actually based on this other book from Chico Xavier and the Spirit, dictated by the Spirit André Luiz. And the name, so the story is about this book named Os Mensageiros and The Messenger, and yeah, from Chico and André Luiz. The story is really about this group of workers from this Astral City called Nosso Lar. And so the messenger is really because of this special group that is formed. And this group then will has this mission to come to Earth on a rescue to assist people who are about to fail in their lives, forgetting about the planning they made and heading their destinies towards great suffering. So it is about 3 people. They are about to engage in a project. And this project is about, talking about the spiritualism, promoting the spiritualism, etc. But then they are at the brink of failure in their purpose, in their endeavor. So then this group from the spiritual realm is assigned to go to Earth and help those folks. That's what it is. So, and again, the main character is really André Luiz, this spirit, and then who joined this group. And then I'll not tell their story, but they didn't tell us. But I mean, I read the book, I know their story, but I'm not going to tell you. So it's going to be I'm pretty sure it's going to be a very good one. Hey, Josie, have a comment?
Yeah, I just want to remember you guys. Remember when we have the first course of mediumship, and there is that slide that I show 80 books that about the chakras. So that's the second one from Astral City from that series. Yeah. And I just got here, guys. You have in English, see, and because we are going to start reading all the series again. So you guys can find in English. And I didn't know about the movie. That's really exciting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So so wait and see. It's gonna be, this book is very nice. The book that Jose was showing to you is very nice one. So but I'm pretty sure the movie is gonna be really nice as well. I don't know
about you. Advise both. I would strongly advise both, read the book and watch the movie.
That's what I was about to say, because I do understand better the movie when I read the book, because the book will have much more information, right? So it's impossible to put everything that they have in the book in the movie. So you understand better the movie once you read the book. Yeah. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in the last question that we
begging your pardon, Ana Castro, querida, bellísima. I want to say hello to Art, and Art has just arrived, and Art Art is very doubtful and he's got a good sense of humor, and that is both things are excellent for this study that we're doing. That was what I wanted to say. Welcome to Art.
Hello, Art.
Hi, thank you, Giles. I just don't go with the reincarnation stuff, but yeah, that doesn't matter.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Thank you anyway for joining us. Okay, so the very last question we had was the number 683. What limits labor? And the answer was, it is limited by strength, but God gives human beings the freedom to decide this point for themselves. With that, let's go ahead and share the number 684. What should we think of those who abuse their authority by imposing too much labor on their subordinates? Anyone with a comment? What should we think of those who abuse their authority by imposing too much labor on their subordinates? Hyacinth, yes.
They create so much misery in the world. Really.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Jesus talked about it. You know, hypocrites, you're telling everybody what to do and you're not doing it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's what it is. It's just a question of power.
Agree. Yeah, very, very nice. Very well said. Thank you. Luis.
Yes, and nowadays, these days in the world, there's been a movement called the Great Resignation. Many millions of people are resigning from their jobs because they're now demanding a more a healthier work-life balance, more flexibility after the pandemic, and kind of standing up against this kind of behavior from the bosses, right? That they want people to prioritize the company over everything in their lives. And many people work to build something outside their jobs, right? Many people work because they want to work for a better cause, for example.
Exactly.
But many times when people want you to prioritize the company, they don't let you do anything else but that. And that's, I think, how she remembers Jesus Christ saying, you don't enter and you don't let anybody in, right? So and society doesn't develop the way it should, because people go into against their own vocations, right?
Exactly. And I want to point out that, very well said, Luis, thank you. I want to point out that one thing that is good for us to do always is to put this book in the right timeline. So this was 1800s, and by then we still had those coal mines, right? The miners in the very poor condition, working like 12, 14 hours, and kids also working children working in those factories.
6 days a week.
Exactly. So it was, it was.
And there's
really,
still today something called micromanagement, right? The person that sticks with you all the time there, because showing you the undermining your sense of value and things like that. It causes a lot of trouble indeed.
Yeah.
But Giles wants to speak too.
Giles.
Well, it's quite simple. It's they commit the worst of crimes. Well, I wouldn't say it's the worst of crimes, but it's certainly evil, because this person is not the boss. This person has a boss above them, and the boss above them is cracking the whip, and they are taking it out on the wretched slaves. And this, of course, has been going on. Now, I just have to point out that the English didn't take the children out of the mines until 1909.
Wow.
If you can bear with that. Now, that was one of the advanced countries. So heaven, hope, help the rest. Well, of course, Saudi Arabia still got them in mines, but that's behind the point, beside the point. Selfishness is my understanding of what is evil.
Yeah, advanced, when you say, bear in mind that intellectual advancement or technology advancement doesn't mean moral or ethics advancement. Just saying. Art. Thank you, Giles.
One of the things that happens is that you lose good people that way. My son had an occasion to do that after he was working the place for 2 years. Said they wanted more and more and less, so he quit. They hired somebody to replace him. He quit after 6 weeks. They wanted him to come back, but he didn't.
Yes, and but again, it's a bad management, right? So when you really do not know how demanding that work is, and you just demand more and more. So if you do not know how to do the work, you will never know how serious is that demand, how outrageous that demand is. So bad management, I would say. Josie.
I have listened Geraldo Lemos talking that Chico Xavier used to say that when you have a big business, right? People has a lot of employees. That's a big good thing, because they can do good for so many people. Some companies maybe thousands of people. So it's not too bad when you do that. It's as well, you lose the chance to make so much good things and have a so much better karma. So it's both sides. I just want to bring the other side, that you, instead of helping so many people, well, one people, doesn't matter how many people work for you, instead of helping them, motivate them, and make them be a better person, you lose the chance to help somebody. So
Yeah,
that makes sense. Chico was even say, like, there was a specific somebody that he said, doesn't matter, he doesn't believe in anything, he doesn't matter, this person is not religion. He gives so much good job, so many employees, and he helped them in such a good way. They take care of them. So by itself, his problem they have already.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, very good comment. Thank you. Very well point. Giles, you have another
There's
comment?
something I need to add, which is very positive here. At least one company, there are, I'm sure, others in America, because it's not something that the media is very boastful about. But a bakery in California splits the profits with the workers. They average 60,000 a year each. And that's been running for at least a decade. And there are a long waiting list for more employees. And many of them have PhDs. What a surprise.
Wow.
So I
Yeah.
just wanted to add that, because that is the way of the future, although we're not seeing it appearing very much. Right now, of course, the corporations are all fighting unionization.
Yeah, and also not remember when they used to promote competition between the employees, and then it's anyway.
I don't know, but they say Amazon is like that.
Yeah, Amazon is.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazon's like that. But come on, Una, what's your? Have you got one in Ireland?
Got what? What kind of company in Giles in Ireland?
A company that shares the profits with the workers.
No.
Oh,
Not
well.
that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
It could
So
be out
my
there.
experience of it would be, so I know Chico wrote about this in the 1800s. We now have like super companies across the globe that, well, certainly here, pay very little tax and have very little accountability or anything. I wonder, it's not so much a point, but a question. I wonder what Chico's take on global corporations and how they behave in the world would be today.
Say that again, because I didn't.
I wonder what Chico or what the spirits would say through Chico about how global corporations behave in the world today, like corporations that don't pay tax in countries that they have satellite offices in, or where they treat workers really badly, or where they exploit natural resources. Like we've just had planning permission given for a data center in the northeast of the country, which is going to use so much power that it's equivalent to how much power it takes for one of the cities in this country to run itself.
Yeah, that's a very good.
Stack up?
Please,
That's it,
please
really.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's it.
Yeah, I know one thing, greedy people and people without ethics have been in the world since ever, right? So I don't think it's a matter of now or in 1800s. We're still kind of the same society. We haven't changed that much. But if I can think of a good answer for your question from the spirits, I think they would cover not only from the management's point of view, those guys like Joseph was saying, not being responsible or not taking care of the employees, or not doing their mission well, because instead of helping people to develop or to improve themselves, they're just exploiting, like you said. But also don't forget that every relationship has two aspects. One is from the employer and another one from the employee. So let's take Art's example. For example, he talked about his son, in a very demanding job. So there was an employer putting a lot of workload on their employees. Well, you have the free will. You still can say no, right? You still can say, yeah, I'm gonna, what? This is way too much for me to handle. And I'll be looking for another opportunity. I know there are some people, they think they do not have options, but that's what I say to people, around me, no matter what, we always have options. And that's the way that I think. And I think that's how the spirits would say, from the employee's standpoint, we always have options. So you do not have to just think about, okay, I'm tied up to this very bad relationship, employer-employee relationship. You don't have to. I think that's my opinion. Art.
I knew of a small lumber yard in California. They did not have employees. If you wished to be there, you became a part owner of the company.
Wow. Yeah, it's nice. Thank you, Luis.
Yes, back to what Chico Xavier would say. I think Chico Xavier was always ready to get around, to walk around the place where he was and identify people's last reincarnations. So many times he saw people on the streets, homeless, and all. Well, this guy, he's always sitting in front of that beautiful building. He was the creator of that company. But authority and power in this world can be very, very tricky. And if you're not very wise, you can get in trouble.
Exactly.
So in Uberaba, the place where he used to live, he used to walk around. So look, remember those that colonel, that general from the First World War. His name is he is that guy over there. He has that kind of problem, that kind of physical problem, because he did this in 1913, and because that he gave all the details, he gave all the situation, why the guy had that physical problem and why he was in that kind of situation. And so it was really amazing, the capacity he had to search and to probe into people's past lives and the consequences. And sometimes the consequences then don't come immediately, they come several lives later. So it's very understand.
Yeah, thank you. Very well said. Yeah, thank you. Debbie.
I remember one time on here in this gathering, people were talking about the work they had, and they said all the work they had, they really loved. And I felt like, what a fortunate group of people. I worked for this big hospital system here, and so they made me do a survey online about how I liked it for all the, and I did not give them a good one. Because I just said they were so inflexible. But I did have options, and I worked for other places in between my jobs with them, but since that's what I trained for, that's what always paid me the most, and so that's why I ended up going back to them. But just thought I would mention that. Got some fortunate people in here. I did not leave a good recommendation online for them. And they came back and they said, oh, but we try to have work-life balance, which is what they always used to put in their stupid newsletters, which is, who knows who comes up with that. It wasn't true in my position. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I totally relate to that. Yeah, because my son, he was in that position on his first job, and he was exactly the same way. No training, but lots of demanding, and I could tell that my son, he was under a lot of stress most of the time, and it's so bad when they do that, because they really make the person or the employee to feel that it's their fault, and And then at some point I could tell that my son was no longer talking to me. I said, you have to share your experience with me, because then I can put you in the right position. I can tell you what exactly is going on. Is not your fault. You know, you really need, as a brand new, or, you know, right out of, he was a graduate, you know, was his very first job. He didn't know much. So evidently he needed lots of training from the experienced folks. And I said, you know what, this is not right for you, because I know exactly what we do in our company with the folks coming out of college. We provide them with a good training. We put them, you know, working with more experienced employees, so they have means to learn on the job plus the training. And you're not getting this, so it's not your fault if you're not getting things done, because there's no way you know all the work process without it. So, but at some point I could tell my son was thinking, you know, oh, it's me, it's because I do not have you know, all the skills or all the knowledge, and he was not right. Sorry, Claudia.
I don't know where anybody parks. Sean's parking close to
You can mute, Anna.
Yeah, I did not know
We need
there's
to ask
someone with
everybody to mute if they're not talking, because the noise on this end is really loud. My daughter got her degree in chemical engineering, and her first job was at a nuclear power plant in Pennsylvania. And then during her first year of working there, my husband, her dad, died very suddenly. And when she went back to work at the nuclear power plant, she couldn't help it. Sometimes she'd cry, you know, she was grieving. And they actually fired her for grieving. They said that wasn't safe at a nuclear power plant, that you had to be focused at all times. And since she was grieving, she was dismissed for grieving. So yeah, you know, the question of what would the spirit say? I've been reading The Way, the Truth, and the Life. And there's a very good reading in here on page 152. And the title of it is Knowledge and Love. And it specifically is talking about science and how science can be used for good or science can be used for evil. You know, you can make, the example is, you can make explosives to kill people, or you can make explosives to build a road that connects people. And I think it's the same thing with work. We can have work that dehumanizes people, or we can have work that is loving, that benefits people and builds people up. And the focus on work that just creates profit that for people you'll never see is not humane. It's not. Our whole society is set up in a way that we use people for the benefit of the wealthy, and that's not love. And there's a beautiful, this reading in this book. I love the last paragraph, bear with me. The world is stuck in darkness and suffering because knowledge has been supported by hatred, which destroys and perverts. It will only reach a safe port when it surrenders completely to the love of Jesus Christ. And it's not condemning science or work in any way. It's just saying we pervert it. We people allow perversions. Jesus didn't set it up this way. We screwed it up.
Exactly. Thank you. It's very, very nice. I mean, as usual, love is the answer for everything. Love is always, always the answer and the way for everything, right? Thank you so much. Very, very good comment. Thank you for sharing. So since you were the last one, would you please read the answer for us?
Sure, thank you. They commit one of the worst of crimes. All those exercising authority shall answer for any excess labor imposed by them on those who are under their orders, because they violate God's law. Yeah.
The violate the law of love.
Oh dear, I have to laugh because there's an awful lot of it going about, isn't there?
All
But
right. So
love and laughter win.
always.
Sorry, I just had a thought. Do you know that I read some time ago that Jeff Bezos and his Amazon staff, that they were under severe pressure because there was a voice which kept watching them and telling them, you need to work faster, you need to do more. And he wasn't paying them at the time the minimum wage, the
Wow.
wealthiest man in the world.
Wow.
So if he gives away 10 billion, he's got 10 more billion. So, but that's the way of the world.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with love. And take thought for your next person.
Well, actually, it's got everything to do with love, and it's called karma. You give love, you get love. When you don't give love, you don't get love. And Jeff is going to be in a very unhappy place in his, when he
No,
gets the offer.
Giles, you don't give love, but you get love. Even if you
Well,
don't
what?
give it.
Then you're saying karma's unbalanced?
I'm not saying karma is unbalanced, it's balanced, but that's the way it is.
Okay.
In the next where there is nothing called hate. Love, hatred, and that is on where we are now.
Thank you. Hi, shall we move to the next question then? So the next question is 685. Do human beings have the right to rest in old age? And I guess everybody will agree with the answer, right?
Well, can this old lady tell you yes?
And the answer is yes, they are only required to work according to their strength, right? But still, we see a lot of old people still working hard, right? So the question 685A, then what are the resources for old people who need to work for a living but cannot? That's exactly what I thought. So what do we think? What are the resources for old people who need to work for a living but cannot?
Depends on which country you're living in.
Yeah, that's true.
Hyacinth, we had this conversation last week, and Social Security is the answer.
Not come on, you have better comment. So any comment? So Giles, would you please read the answer since you were the last one?
Oh, well, there's plenty of answer here.
The book. Okay, so you have a different version. So would you please
Yeah, but
read
no,
your version?
you're not showing the whole answer in your version.
No, I am. 6.
No, you're not. Go down a bit.
Oh,
You'll
okay,
see.
yeah.
All right. So then what are the resources for old people who need to work for a living but cannot? The strong should work for the weak. When the family does not help, society should take its place. This is the law of charity. Well, I can say this is the law of social security.
Social security. Okay.
In any advanced society, there should be social security. It is not enough to say that human beings need work. They should also be able to find an occupation. This is not what happens. Whenever unemployment becomes widespread, it assumes proportions of a scourge like scarcity. Economic science seeks a remedy for this problem in balancing production and consumption, but this is always subject to sporadic periods, assuming it can be attained, and the worker must survive these periods. This was clearly written long before Social Security was organized. There is one element of the question that has not been considered sufficiently. And economics is just a theory without it. Education, not merely intellectual education, but moral education, that which consists in the formation of character and habits, which human beings do not learn from books. Education is the sum of the habits acquired. When we consider that, many individuals are lost in the food of a population without principles. That doesn't seem right to me. Or direction, and are left to their own instincts on a daily basis. Should we be surprised by the disastrous consequences that result? When the art of education is properly understood and practiced, all human beings will have the habits of stability and prudence for themselves and for those who depend upon them, and respect for what is worthy of respect. These habits will enable them to endure hard times with greater ease. Chaos and extravagance are social handicaps that only proper education can cure. And the spread of such education is the preliminary element of social well-being, which is the only guarantee of security for all.
Yeah, bear in mind that all this, I mean, the answer from the Spirit is just the strong should work for the weak. When the family does not help, society should take its place. This is the law of charity. So this is the answer from the Spirit. And over here is the comment from Kardec. And Kardec was a big fan of education, and he was a defender of the human rights for education, right? So Hyacinth, you have a comment?
Yes, I agree that education definitely is a key, but we must remember that there will always be situations where people cannot work, even though they want to. There will always be situations, and because people they just are not operating on a perfect level plane, and there used to be, but it's a situation now that what used to be voluntary organizations, because people have always taken care of each other, it's now being left to the government.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
As we progress, then we say it's the government takes care of you, not your relatives or just people in the community who are able and want to help.
Mm-hmm. And again, love plays a big role. The more we learn what love really means, then I think the less we face those problems. But we are still not at that stage yet. We didn't get that point yet.
I am told that the reason for Ramadan, the fasting month for the Muslims, is so that they understand what hunger means. So that when somebody is hungry because there is no food, then you can understand what it means and help them. And this is why it is no food or drink, sun up to sundown.
Yeah, but let me add something to that comment. When my older son, he was about 5 years old or something, his father took him to one of the things that he used to do back in the days. He used to join this group to provide some soup at night to people living in the street.
Yes.
So one day, my son's father took him and said, perhaps you should take, Victor to go there, and so just he sees, people living in the street, and also what we can do for people like this. So I stayed at home taking care of my my second son. He was still a baby. And then late at night, my son, Victor, came back, and that kid was transformed. He was shining. He was so happy. And then he told me, Mom, I did help the group, and I was the one taking the soup and giving to the folks. And then I saw this old man. He was sleeping on the sidewalk, and as he saw me approaching him, he woke up, and then when he saw me, he said, "Oh my goodness, this soup is gonna nourish my body and my soul." And then he said, "Because today I got a soup from an angel."
Ah,
So that told me, charity is not about the material food, it's not the food itself, but food plus love. Yes, you can fast and you become aware of what hungry and hunger suffers. But what about love? What about lacking of love? Right? So there is another thing that we need to be aware of.
yes.
Thank you, Kai. Thanks. Luis, sorry.
Yes, it reminded me of a passage where the Apostle Paul, in one of his epistles, he said, because I'm talking here about the match or the going well between love and wisdom, right? And the Apostle Paul says, "May your love abound in all wisdom and science," because of course, the more we know, the more able we will be able to do the real charities also, right? And I remember in the book of Acts, they were having a problem, a difficult problem in the church, the first church of Jerusalem, of the Christians. The apostles were still there working. And the problem was exactly the same problem that the United Nations had detected in voluntary work all over the world: lack of ethics on the part of those who work in a voluntary work. And this was the problem in the Church of Jerusalem, because many people were complaining that the people that were giving food to the needy, they were being biased. They were giving more food to some people from Jerusalem and less food from some people from outside. And look what the apostle said: we cannot stop teaching Jesus Christ's teachings to serve the tables. So choose among you those very wise men to serve the tables. And they chose some guys, and one of them was exactly Stephen, right? To start serving. So how necessary it is for some people, for us, to learn things, to do charity in a better way, right? So I think this was a very good lesson. And I've seen so many problems in Brazilian Spiritist centers because of this. People, okay, go on, let's go, give the soup, right? Okay, let's give, just like a machine from McDonald's, right? The machine, once a guy came into the Spiritist center, he was a McDonald's, the manager had been. So no, let's pump up this place here, right? Let's put an electronic machine. The needy guy comes with a card, a magnetic card, right? He slips the card in the slot there, and there is a soup for him. Say, oh, well, may God follow you. May God follow you. An electronic voice would say something like this. Oh, come on. I think you're not getting the point here.
Yeah.
That's the real.
Completely, missed the point, yes.
That reminds me, Mother Teresa of Calcutta too. She said that she saw the poorest people in New York, as I remember, because the lack of love, they are so abandoned, like Indian too. But she said that she saw so much suffering and lack of love and
A lot of greed.
in of greed in New York, that she said, no, it's the poorest people I've seen in my life. Not only the homeless people. She was not talking about the homeless people, but the people that were living there alone and loneliness.
Yes, yeah, yeah, very well said. Yeah, good point. Thank you, Luis and Livia. Okay, so shall we move? Oh, you know what? We are moving to the next one, which is law of reproduction. Yay, that's a... Okay, so law of reproduction. The next question is reproduction of living beings a natural law? Comments? 686, is the reproduction of living beings a natural law? Giles?
Well, indeed it is, and it starts with the plants. And then we move on to the animals, and well, we can move on to the insects or the fish, if you like. And then we move on to humans, and lo and behold. Now, it's my understanding and belief that the next phase of our being, we don't have sex anymore. The next phase, the one above human, because it's described as angels, and angels are described as hermaphrodite, meaning both male and female, and no sex anymore. That's going to be interesting to see. Sorry, I'm going ahead.
No problem. So read the answer, please. Okay, Heisen, no.
No,
you have a
I
comment.
just see that, I mean, what happens in the next life? I mean, we're talking really about this life and what happens where we are now and to reproduce.
Yes, you're quite
We
right.
have to reproduce, and
Yeah,
not now by robots and artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, there still has to be reproduction in this
Yeah.
life.
For now, yes, that's the way we go. Okay, any other comment? No? So the answer is, of course, the physical world would die without reproduction. Yeah, like Giles was saying, even the plants, the insects, and the viruses, and I mean, not the virus, but everybody else, right?
Yes, and the viruses too.
Yeah, I just didn't want to mention the bad stuff. Anyway, okay, so 687, if global population continues to grow as it is, as it okay, so if the global population continues to grow as it has up until now, will it become too large over the course of time? What do we think? Comments before the answer? If the global population continues to grow.
Comments before the answer.
Yes, sir.
The populations, according to everything that one sees in nature, are self-regulating. They grow too large and then they collapse, and they grow too large again and then they collapse, and they grow too large again and then they collapse. Lemmings, that's what we are. Does everybody know about lemmings? No?
They
Lemmings-
follow each other. They follow each other over a cliff.
Yes, but they do that only when there's
yes.
too many of them for
That
the existing food supply.
I think
Yeah,
it happens the
that's
same with the
what-
sexes, right? The balance between sexes. Right?
That's
The
what
genders.
history, yeah, gender. Yeah, that's what history tells us, right, Giles? So history has been that way, you know, we go up and down. Civilizations, they go up and down, you know, and
Well,
that's
and
how it
yes, history's also taught us that we learn nothing from history.
exactly. Well, very little. No, don't be pessimistic. We
No,
learned
that
something, but
was rude. You're right. No,
yeah.
little bits. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So the answer is okay. So the question: if the global population continues to grow up as it has up until now, will it become too large over the course of time? And the answer is no. God always maintains a balance, right? Like Giles was saying, God always maintains a balance and does not make allowances for anything useless. The human species sees only a small corner of the universe, and as such, it is unable to recognize the harmony of the whole.
Wow,
Comments
I
on the-
like that very much. There's no way that we look just at this planet Earth, because there are 10 billion other planets out there, and they all have civilizations on them, and they're all busy learning to live with each other and growing. And it's just a wonderful game. Sorry,
Yeah.
Gloria, your turn.
Thank you, Giles.
When I was in college, I studied international trade and economic development, and I had several professors who were just sure we would, reproduce ourselves to oblivion. And I think the thing that pulls me back from that bleak outlook of overproduction of the human race on the planet is one of the Psalms, and it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart." And this is beautiful because that's what this says to me. There's a harmony of the whole that we can't even comprehend, and God's got it all.
I love your comment, because when there is something that I cannot understand or I do not see the solution, that's what I try to remind me all the time, okay, so God is under control, and he has he or she, I don't know, has anything well planned and organized. We just need to trust. Art.
I think China is having problems now with so long they said only one child, and now it's a lot of male children and not enough female children, and they may be running into a problem in the future because of this.
That's right. They don't have enough women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who knows what's gonna be in their future, but it's a consequence of their decisions, right? I mean, government. Any other comment? Nope. Okay, so we go ahead and go to succession and development of the human race. So it's becoming more and more interesting now. There are groups of humans today that are rapidly vanishing from the face of the earth. Will they eventually disappear? Answer, questions, comments?
Well, that's a very tricky subject, of course, which he's talking about it in 1870 or thereabouts. And by 1910, there was a good deal of scientific burbling about the master race and the inferior races. And this went on, as we well know, for a good 50 years after that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to interpret what this question is. Will they eventually disappear from it? Well, yes, of course they will eventually disappear. The whole lot of us will eventually disappear when the sun goes nova and burns up the earth, if we haven't done ourselves in long before then. Mm-hmm. So there is no doubt whatever that they eventually disappear. Mm-hmm. But then others will have taken their place, as your place will someday be taken by others. Well, okay, fair enough. That doesn't really help, but because Because, yeah, well, no, I don't even want to say it.
Would you please read the answer since this is almost 4 and we need to finish this?
Okay. There are groups of humans today that are rapidly vanishing from the face of the earth. Will they eventually disappear? Yes, but this will only happen because others will have taken their place, just as you will also one day be replaced by others.
You read the answer before, so you were cheating.
Well, that's the one. That was it.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Yeah.
No, no, but I ask you, which races are disappearing now?
Which race is
Human.
disappearing now?
No, I mean, yeah, because no, we
Do you
keep
really
on
want to
growing.
know, Hyacinth? Or is
I
that
beg your
just
pardon?
Well, Hyacinth,
Hyacinth, do you
know,
really want me to answer that?
No, it says others will have taken their place, and I'm wondering. I mean, I have not seen any group of people who have disappeared.
Yeah,
no,
how about pygmies?
they are
Pygmies
so,
in the Congo.
No, there
Bushmen.
are still pygmies,
Yeah, a handful.
Yeah.
but they still have not disappeared.
Okay.
there are some groups in South America, Hyacinth, for example, some groups living in the jungle in the Amazon, and yeah, their groups are getting, you know, smaller and smaller. So those are what we consider the native South American, and yeah, if the fate continues as it is today, you know, pretty soon we'll not see them, you know, at least not the genuine DNA. That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. Yeah.
But have they been interacting with other people or just themselves?
Just themselves. Yeah.
But that's
yeah.
not because they're growing too many, are they?
Yeah. All right, folks. So 401, I will stop here for the book of the Spirit's book, and then we'll continue with the mechanics of the mediumship. Okay.
And people, just we need to leave because we have another meeting now. And next week, I'm going to show you some photos if we have some space, because we need a little excursion journey to Pedro Leopoldo, the city where Chico Xavier was born and used to work. And I would like to share this video and some pictures with you.
Awesome.
And the
Very
places where, okay?
Yes,
Thank
that would
you.
be good.
Thank you,
Yes.
Luis.
Nothing enough. Thank you very much.
you.
I missed you a lot, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.